Good afternoon. It is the club call, although it will only be the club call if Baz comes back, because he's
coming back.
He's got no. You've got it. You can't. There's been no messages, so we are definitely. What's it? Thing goes. Morgan Schneidlin's cat. We are, aren't we? That's what they call it, isn't it?
Close.
Morgan Schneidlin's cat.
Okay. What's up to this now? Is it this being tight again?
He said he's still filming. That was at 8 minutes to 5, so I imagine he's not coming.
Out for the day.
So we can't take calls because we're unmanned. We're unstaffed. Ned's not here. He took time off, we know.
The audacity taking holidays in the summer. It's not like anyone else does that.
I don't. So
You're always on holiday.
yeah, of course I am. Yeah,
Travelling the world.
oh yeah, always traveling the world, me. So we'll come off your comments. We'll work off your comments sadly tonight rather than the phone calls. We want phone. I think this is
Buying new software.
There's no software that would allow
You to queue stuff up and talk.
to talk and just have like there's just nothing. There's nothing
No
unless
automation.
there's no way we could do it unless that computer was physically in front of me.
Right.
So there's no way. But then that's why we employ somebody, and that's why you shouldn't be allowed any time off ever, to be honest, unless there's someone to fill in for them.
Socialists like you saying that.
No. The way holiday.
Sod employment laws.
No. The way
Slaves.
the way
That's what
holidays
you
work in every company is you can have time off if there's somebody else to do your job.
That's rubbish.
That's not rubbish.
It's complete.
That's not
rubbish.
That's not rubbish.
Of course it is.
So that's because you worked in the high end, John. Working class people like myself, no. When I worked on the railway and when I worked
How long did you work on the railway?
6 years.
Right.
So when I worked on the railway or when I worked for Royal Mail, I couldn't even have the day off for my stag.
So you mean two pseudo-state-owned organisations ignored the
I
law?
could not have the day off for my stag do because there was nobody to cover me.
But you get your holidays.
No, but there was nobody to cover me, so I could not have the
For
day
that
off.
year, you got the statutory holiday.
I only just got my wedding off.
I just think your boss didn't like you.
Well, maybe. I put my holidays in for my wedding, and they were rejected the first time. And I just went to them, don't think so.
How much notice?
Plenty of notice. I was getting married.
Yeah,
Plenty
that's what I
of
mean.
notice. So anyway,
So how much notice for the stag do?
loads
And how many people in the team?
in Royal Mail.
No, you were the last one and couldn't have the day off.
I couldn't have the day off. They wouldn't let me have the day off
Because no one could cover.
because there was no cover.
Okay, so how many people available to cover? You know, was it 3 people doing your job? 1? 100?
No, there was
10? 20?
They,
So they were all on holiday?
Yeah.
And you weren't?
yeah.
That's pathetic.
That's how it works in those companies. Same with when I worked for you couldn't have certain days off if you can't cover your shift. Don't leave booking
So
officers.
what happens at the end of the year when you haven't had any holidays and you're in breach of the law?
That's not my problem, is it? That's their problem. But anyway. So anyway,
Well, it is if you don't get the holidays.
But let's explain Baz. Let's explain Baz for going on the overlap.
Okay. You just knocked all the stuff off there. Why don't you just rip it off?
Doesn't he rip it off? It's fine. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
You can't actually. What you can actually see on TV is the scarves, and you've just told everyone that they're not there anymore.
I've got a fetish that you shouldn't be allowed to see a radiator.
I don't like the fact that you can see radiators, but there you go.
No.
That's a different thing.
Get a flag on it.
John Textor, he's reportedly on Merseyside.
Yeah, right.
So he's not on
I've
Merseyside.
no idea.
So he's not on Merseyside.
I've no idea, but it's deja vu. We had this chat last week about David Ornstein, said he was already in a period of exclusivity, and today a different news outlet is saying he's about to go into it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's all pinch of salt stuff, isn't it? That said, I was in the Royal Live building yesterday, and there was a beautiful, I think I said it on the live, didn't I, before? It was either Bentley or Rolls-Royce stretch limo-y thing. And my first reaction when I saw that was, ooh, I wonder if Mr. Farhad is in the building or not. So, you never know, could be true.
Do you think if I'm just going to put again 2 and 2 together here.
Yeah, it's dangerous.
Do you think that if John Textor is here, and we've got no reason to say he's not here, he'd be here because he'd be going to Bramley Moore to see the stadium?
You would think so, because it wouldn't be to meet Farhad, because they could do that in London, they could do it in Monaco, they could do it anywhere, right? So maybe he was getting the 10 pence tour. Look what you might have won, sort of thing. Yeah, possibly. Yeah. And then if you were showing someone around something you were trying to flog, you'd take them down to Bramley Moor when you show them how sexy it was. Yeah. And then you might go back to the HQ and say, let me take you in the headquarters. But I would have thought if that had happened, every man and his dog would have seen him.
I don't know, not necessarily. I mean,
you can't go in.
I got told that he was there yesterday. Okay. But that's via like someone seen him down there. Oh, right. Not like through. There's no like. I didn't get told through like official channels. No. I got told because somebody seen him down there. Yeah. So probably someone.
No, that's what I was about to say. You would thought multiple people would have seen him, and therefore it'd be all over social media that John Textor was at Royal Albert Building today. So, or indeed he was at the Everton Stadium.
So just off the back of that, then, you know about deals and stuff. Obviously, if he's showing them around the new stadium, and he's showing them around the offices, which are really, really nice. I mean, anyone who goes to the offices at the Royal Albert Buildings would be massively impressed.
And if you show them through the sales suite for the stadium and stuff, that's impressive as well.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's great, isn't it? I mean, it is lovely. It looks fantastic. So where would you think then, based on that, where the deal would look like being? Do you think?
I always say deals, because let's call it a deal. When you're in a competitive process, particularly stuff I used to do, which was large-scale stuff, you probably got 5, 6, 7 companies, who can all deliver the outcome. You know what I mean? They can all give you the service level that you want, and they can all probably get close enough to the price point and all that sort of stuff. So how do you decide which one to go with? And it's a lot of soft issues, right? So that might be relationships, how you behave, all that sort of stuff. What do your current customers say about you? Blah, 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 right? At some stage, you have to do a bit of show and tell, don't you? Show me what I'm buying, or show me what you're selling, that sort of thing. And if you want to keep a deal warm, you want to do stuff. Yeah. You know what I mean? Farhad isn't going to say, is he, tell you what, mate, when you've sold your Palace shares, come back. No. Right? Because the adage in the game of selling is, if let's say you're trying to sell something to somebody, I'm trying to sell something to you. If you're not talking to me, I don't know, you're not talking to somebody else. So you try and keep your prospective client busy, So that's part of just a technique, really. But if Farhad says, well, this is his perspective, because he's doing due diligence on John Textor, isn't he? Yeah. Right? If Farhad goes, well, if you had sold your shares, already, how much are you going to give me? Are you going to pay off the Freaking Group? Are you going to do this? Are you going to do that? Are you going to convert things to equity? Lend me money now, and all that sort of stuff. And John's saying all the right things. Yes. They can do the deal prior to being able to do the deal, so that they can move quickly when the time comes. And I'd write all that down in a heads of terms. It's legally binding, tends to last for a certain amount of time. It's not an exclusivity deal. That's different. Yeah. That's saying all things being equal, we've thrashed out the broad brush terms. And the thing is, anyone watching this, or anyone, even if they don't watch our channel, who's paid attention over the last year or so, a bit less than a year, but not far, right? They know broadly what those terms are, don't they? Yeah. They are. Farhad doesn't get much money. He converts the money that is owed to him by the club to equity. In return for that, someone, the new owner pays off, now it would be Freaking plus 777 cap. You get left with RMF. You do a bit of a wrapper on it, get, long-term debt type stuff. Job done. And then the soft stuff around that is, okay, how much have you actually got, John? Because this club needs some investment as well, not just pay off loans. Going forward, how much you're prepared to invest, that sort of thing. Because rightly or wrongly, and shoot me down, I still think that Moshiri's plan to try and sell the club is far closer to trying to look after the club than the average man in the street would necessarily believe. You know, I mean, I hosted one of our Evertonians from the States at the weekend, and when we went out for a curry and all that sort of stuff afterwards, he was telling me about what the chatter is in the forums in the States. And it's all like Moshiri is a charlatan, okay, all that rhetoric, but he's just going to, you know, flip Everton, make loads of money and walk off. So you've got this distance between reality and what people will chat about, fueled by journalists popping up every now and again. I mean, what day last week did it come out that it was the Ornstein thing? Can you remember? Maybe every Tuesday or Wednesday we get something, I don't know. But the guy's persistent, isn't he?
Yeah.
He also knows the clock's against him because he has to sell the Palace shares. So if I was him, or if I was advising him, I would say, you know, keep Farhad's ear, keep him busy, almost stop him from talking to somebody else. Farhad's quite an open character. If he was talking to someone else, he might let it slip. Well, they've said they'll give me a Rolls Royce as well. Okay, we'll give you a Rolls Royce as well. You know what I mean? So knowing what your opposition's doing is just as important as a second call of stopping your prospective client talking to the opposition. So it's quite possible that he was here. But as you say, he would be here, not just to talk to Farhad, but to see stuff.
Yeah, because as you said, we can do that anyway, can't it? And it would actually be easier if he did do it in London.
Yeah, and the only three things you can see, really, is the area around Goodison, why bother? Yeah, the new stadium and the lovely headquarters.
So it's just going to be a case now, isn't it? I mean, to be fair to Textor, he's been there from the start.
That's what I mean. He knows the clock's against him, so but he's not gone away, has he?
So what happens then? I don't even know if you know the answer to this, but what happens if they get a deal all agreed and everything's in place and it comes down to him selling his shares? Is it would Farhad wait? Can someone else come along? You know, what has to be put into that? You just said head of terms there. What has to be put in that to give Textor guarantees or give Farhad guarantees that this is going to happen? Because it is. I mean, Freakin', we were told, was all about the 777 money and what's happening with that legal case. And we don't know any more about that. But we do know that there is definitely something in this that stops it dead right now, and it is those Crystal Palace shares. So, how do we get from where we are right now, or maybe where we are at the end of the week, to John Textor's the Everton owner?
Yeah. Well, the first thing you look at it, what would be good for John Textor, right? Which is he's got skin in the game. If you're a salesperson, you want last call, which would basically be if you get a deal with somebody else while I'm trying to sell my Palace shares, I'm almost buying from you the right to match it. You know what I mean? So that's one of the things that you might put into an agreement. Clearly, it's got to have some time limit on it, but there's got to be skin in the game from John Textor as well. Yeah. So if I'm Farhad, recently what he's done is he would say to Textor, I'll give you your exclusivity period, another bloody one, type of thing, which allows you to do due diligence and so on. But the price of doing that is you've got to pay off Freakin', right? For example. Just like Freakin' paid off MSP. Now, if John Textor is a bit of a risk taker, maybe you say, no, don't pay off Freakin', pay off 777. Yeah. So you end up with the Freakin' group and John Textor, or whatever his entity's called, Eagles, something or other, maybe, which would be a bit funny, both having loaned us a few £100 million, and one of those two organisations maybe becomes the new owner, and part of the deal is they just have to pay the other one off. Yeah. Now imagine if you could do that, then that takes us significantly into next year, doesn't it, before it has to be done. Stops Textor being a distressed seller of his, I must sell my shares quick and therefore I won't get the best price for them. Of course, the other version of that is he's already sold them. And I don't mean in physical terms, but he's reached an agreement with somebody, and maybe, just maybe, he'll hold on to those shares longer if he can't buy Everton. You know what I mean? So then you've got a little like the old transfer window, isn't it? The first deal gets done and the dominoes start tumbling. Yeah. So I think there's legs around it, and it's all going to be how the deal shape's been put together.
Yeah, it's just, again, it's just complicated, isn't it? It's like, but you're right. If
It's only complicated. It's just lots of simple things joined together.
no, but
and so we do it that way as simple things.
Yeah.
But yeah, when you put them together, you can easily see that might take 4, 5, 6 months, which doesn't necessarily play into fans wanting it done now.
No. But I mean, he owns 40% of Palace. He invested 86 million
Back in the day,
in 2021.
Yeah.
He has been linked before with purchases of Brentford, Watford, and Newcastle United. He's obviously in Lyon as well.
Took him ages to get that over the line.
And obviously
But he did.
He sold Jake O'Brien to Everton and loves Jake O'Brien apparently.
Does he?
Oh yeah, loves him.
Someone knows John Textor and.
No, I mean, have you ever seen the interview with him?
No, there's such stuff he said on camera, is it? Yeah.
To Macron.
Was it?
Like, he's got hold of Jake O'Brien, and Macron's there, and he went, "This fella." Honestly, there's a video out there.
I've not seen it.
Yeah, it's after like either the cup final or the semi-final.
Yeah.
And Macron's there, and he's like, "See this fella here? He's amazing." And he's giving him, and it's just Jake O'Brien's like,
"Hello, boss.
I haven't got any Premier League experience."
You've been on it today, haven't you?
And I am told that Jake O'Brien loves John Textor.
All right.
So
there you go.
Just saying, we've got a man on the inside.
So we're going to have another man who picks the team, are we? Yeah.
No, I don't know.
But yeah, I mean, clearly the whole thing, and we talked about this, and I think me and Baz did it on a BWB thing, and I guess we'll be doing one of those Friday or whenever we record the things, but around the shape of a deal. Really, that's what's going to get this. When things, as you rightly say, are complex, the person or the group, the entity, whatever you want to call it, which can shape it, that overcomes the hurdles, gives comfort to the seller or the buyer, depending on which one they are. Because the whole thing about deal making is, if both parties want to do it, you'll find a way.
Yeah.
You know, and if that means we have to have a longer passage of time or whatever. So if I'm Fahad Moshiri or I'm John Textor, I'm thinking, right, okay, we've sorted this now, yeah? But this looks like February, before we're going to get it over the line. And for Textor, it's just before we go to the new stadium that matters to him, isn't it? Look what I've bought, type of thing. So how would you sweeten people in the masses? You know, the Evertonians, how would you sweeten them?
If I was him?
Yeah.
I'd put some money into the club. I think arguably, I don't know, I can't speak for anyone else, but it would be nice if Everton were clean of the 777, like you mentioned. It'd be nice if Everton were clean for that.
I think give people a lift.
Yeah,
I
think you're right. If Everton could, if he or someone else came in and got rid of that issue, because it is clearly an issue, because it's part of a court case.
It's a risky one.
Yeah. If he could get that sorted, because what I find strange about this, and without being an expert, clearly is the Frequent Group. That was their problem, and yet it doesn't. Well, it was reported that was their problem. Sorry. And yet it doesn't seem to be a problem for John Textor in terms of. This guy has come back because he sees us. He clearly sees us as like a club that he can take forward. He knows he can't take Palace forward, and that's no disrespect. I spoke to Dan at the time, HLTCO. I spoke to him at the time. Done an interview on our channel. No disrespect to Palace whatsoever, but they've got limits. They're obviously a South
Stadium's a limit. Yeah.
They're a South London club. Yeah. They can't like hoover up lots and lots of fans. They're a community club. The stadium, I think the main standard's just been approved. I think so in the last couple of days.
That's progress.
That's progress. Good. That's good for them. You know. Yeah. Palace got good fans and it's a good club, but they've got a ceiling. I think he looks at us now that we have got our and just goes, there is no seat. There's no seat. Look, we both went to Lyon. We saw their ground. We saw a city similar to Liverpool with a rabid fan base. Difference is obviously there's only one team in the city, but it's a rabid fan base. It's got the same kind of issues as what Everton have. As you've got a Paris Saint-Germain out there, so a Manchester City kind of club, and you've got a Marseille, which is a Manchester United, Liverpool kind of club out there. And Marseille have gone big this year because I think they can see there's a little bit of
chink in PSG.
Because of Mbappe.
Yeah.
So they've got the same kind of things, but he can see that. I think he can see that Everton with the stadium. He talks about his old traditional club. This is a football man as well, by the way.
Great again.
Yeah, this is a football man, by the way. He's obviously with Botafogo. Anyone who's seen the video of criticising the referees.
Oh yeah, I've seen that one.
Also, right, there's a channel out there that I've mentioned. I don't think you've watched it, John. And I've told you to watch it, and I told Baz to watch it. So there's a channel out there called Yes Theory, right? I told you about this the other week.
I don't remember.
Okay. There's a video out there where this channel...
Oh, sorry, you have. Yeah.
These young lads...
I know what one
they
you mean.
Go on, they do all do all mad stuff. They're great for... Anyway, they picked this lad because he's got a passport, but he's never been out the country.
That's the one, yeah.
And he says... So randomly they pick a country, and he goes to Brazil. And without spoiling it, he goes to a Botafogo game, right? Just watch that video. John Textor's in it.
You might bump into the owner.
That's all I'm going to... I don't want to spoil it for anyone called Yes. It's called Yes Theory, right? Honestly, I will put the video link in the comments.
Are they paying you to push this? Yeah.
No, honestly I love this channel. I love it so much.
It's a YouTube channel, isn't it?
A YouTube channel, yeah. And they bump into John Textor, and John Textor can't do enough for them. Like, he just loves the fact that they've come over from this random lad who loves Brazilian football, and it's in the comments here. He obviously loves... I've done it. He obviously loves multitasking. He obviously loves football. Loves football. He doesn't like he's criticised the PSR rules. He's criticised the financial fair play rules. He's criticised Paris Saint-Germain for having ownership by Qataris. He doesn't like the way football is heading. This is
you a script writer, are you?
I'm doing it. Listen, he's reading off the glass, and I'm writing. This guy does not seem to like the way where football is going. And don't forget, this fella earns a lot of money through Fubo TV, which was an early... but it's still there, it's still out there. An early place for watching football in the United States. In fact, they used to take our videos, and we used to be on there. They used to take our videos and put them on the platform. So he obviously loves football. He's got a team in Belgium as well. Some of those things will go for him. Some of those things will go against him. Well, I don't know. It depends how people feel about it, but we'll wait and see. It's a very interesting one. But as you said there, if he could just get rid of that 777 problem, and then just go to Freakin', we'll deal with you next year, because actually there's no rush, because you're good people, we're good people. There's nothing hanging over our heads. So let's get that done down the road. But this 777 situation needs to be addressed now. And I find that fascinating that he has come in knowing that's there. So
maybe he'd try and pacify Baz as well. Because if you're going to pay off 777, which is Baz's line, which is don't argue about whether it's 100 or 150, it's in the book at 200. Just give him the 200. Tell him to sling the rook, yeah. And maybe goes, and by the way, while I'm here, here's another 25 mil just to get you those deals across the line in this window that you wanted.
Well, he's only got a week. He's only got a week, hasn't he?
That's the point, isn't it?
He's only got a week.
So yeah, which is why we said offline. Be very surprised if it makes any difference to this window. But there's always January.
He
could lend money tomorrow if he wanted.
Not lend money. Could he invest anything in Everton in the next 10 days?
What do you mean by invest?
Could he buy any shares? Any shares?
Yeah.
What would that go up to? Could he go up to?
Below 10%, I would think, yeah.
Because I'm just thinking, if you bought 10% of Everton...
Just 5%.
In the next week, then he's got a stake in it.
I'd have to double check whether you're allowed to have any shares at all under those Premier League rules.
That's what I was just thinking.
But something like 5% is trivial, isn't it? You can't even force the owner to do anything.
Do you know off the top of your head what the 777 money represents, if anything, other than... is it just pure debt? Because obviously the money we owe Freakin' Group is partly invested in the stadium, isn't it?
No.
No, I mean, it's not invested in the stadium. I mean, it's got
guarantors against it.
Guarantors, sorry, that was the word I was looking for.
Yeah.
Has the 777 got anything?
So, no.
So that's just pure debt that we owe.
Yeah.
So there's no.
But it doesn't really matter whether it's guaranteed or not. If you pay it off, you pay it off.
Yeah. So no, I was just wondering in the case of
things like guarantors against the stadium or what, or indeed in if 777 have inherited, say, MSP's stuff, which would have been, which I think they have, a call on Moshiri's shareholding, for example. Yeah, that's only if you default.
Yeah. Oh no, I'm just.
Yeah.
There's a little bit more of a higher stake there, though, isn't there? In case Yeah. So
but if you look at the Freaking stuff and the 777 stuff, neither of those have, any finite date on them before next summer. So, like, as you imply when you're talking, these two billionaires are thinking there's no rush really, and the average Everton fan saying get it done, and there's got to be a point in between where you say, can you really let Everton fans hang on a hook, listening to every Tom, Dick and Paddy Power have a dig at us whenever they feel like it?
Well, that's the problem though, because there is a rush, isn't there? Because transfer window shuts next Friday night.
Nothing's going to get rushed.
No, I know nothing's going to happen. What I mean is that between now and next Friday night, no matter whether these talks are good, bad, or whatever, nothing's going to change really. And we as football fans, we want the very basics is we watch our football team. And to us, none of this matters. All that matters is that if an owner comes in, we have money to buy nice new players to make us better. So we've run out of time, haven't we? So then it doesn't. Nothing has to happen then, does it?
Listen, the whole thing is where there's a will, there's a way, right? If you want to go in full-on Imagineering mode, then John Textor may have a company somewhere who would like to sponsor Finch Farm.
Yeah.
Might want to sponsor Goodison Park for the last season, right? Whatever. So where there's a will, there's a way. But if these guys are looking big picture, they might not be looking at that short-termism of, we've only got a week left on a transfer window. Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyone who's hanging their hat on, get it done, and then we'll be able to buy some players now.
No, I don't see that.
Treat it as a cherry on a cake. If something does happen, that's a bit of a windfall.
Yeah. We all just want players, don't we? We all just want to see Everton have better players on the pitch to improve, obviously, our results and make sure that this season we are nice and safe and there's no issues, and that would be comforting, I think.
Yeah, but we don't want the inverse, which becomes short-term gain for long-term pain.
No, I mean,
we've been there.
No,
that's when we end up with a load of number 10s.
No, I mean, I just mean players that the club have obviously already identified that could go, right, we can afford to buy that player and we can afford to buy that player.
If you do the oversimple version of that, which would be, if DCL got sold, we'd do this, this and this. If you could do this, this and this without selling DCL, then that's good.
Absolutely.
And that might just be that it's written in an agreement somewhere.
Yeah.
Because we've got till the end of the financial year for any PSR type things, and then the rest of it's about cash flow, isn't it? Yeah, it's going to be interesting.
It's
only us talking then, or what?
No, we'll get into it.
Good.
Get into it now. He owns 77.49% of Lyon, which he...
Don't give them the full name.
The Olympique Lyonnais. The reported deal was...
800, was it?
$940 million.
Yeah. I thought it was 800. Yeah,
884 euros.
That's the one I've remembered,
which would be more
appropriate. A few bob, isn't it? It'll get us for less than half that.
He acquired 80% of Molenbeek in Belgium. He bought that the same week he bought Botafogo, which he has a 90% ownership of, which is one of the greatest clubs in Brazil's history.
Some of those fans don't like him,
You get that with everyone, don't you? Get every club as will not like the owner for one reason or another. David, Gary and Juan said hello. David Gilbert says, told everyone in the WhatsApp group last night that he saw Textor. Saw them both in the live buildings.
Well done, mate. There you go.
David Gilbert.
They were the eyes. The eyes have it.
Glenn Watson's at a really, really important question. He says, is John the corporate biscuit Blaine having a Twix?
No. It was a Rocky.
It's a Rocky bar.
It was too small.
John was, by the way,
I would have a Twix.
Right, by the way, John, right, proven that his standards he was about to throw away a packet of Kit Kats because the Kit Kats,
No, a Kit Kat, not a packet. You're stretching truth.
in my world, one is a packet because it melted and then been put back in the fridge and wasn't quite the texture wasn't quite to his liking. So
you said you'd eat anything.
I'd eat it. It's still chocolate and it's still a biscuit.
Liquidise it and just drink it then. Yeah.
No, that's different. that's different.
No, it was a Rocky anyway. Yeah,
There you go.
Very nice it was too.
Benjamin James says, did you notice at the Roma games all the lads who were injured had taken their seats? That included Michael Keane, so sure he wasn't Dyche fit and should be on the grass. Dyche contradicts himself at every given juncture. Well, they were all sitting in front of me and Baz, so you will have seen it if you'd watched my match reaction video because they were all on it. And yes, he was out injured, so that's on the manager, isn't it? That's up to the manager. Mark said he had an interesting fight. Start, bench, sell Sahar, Beattie and Andy Johnson.
Start, Sahar, Beattie and Andy Johnson. All in
Start, bench, sell.
All in their pomp.
Or whatever their pomp was forever.
Sahar, start him. Bench. Andy Johnson. The other one gets the other thing.
Sell.
Yeah, I think it was unlucky, Beattie, wasn't he?
Yeah.
But
signed unfit. I'd start Andy Johnson, bench Sahar and sell
yeah,
Beattie.
I was stalling because which way to go. But I then thought if you score in an FA Cup final after 30 seconds, that should get you a start. Yeah. But then again, if you scored against the Red Shite, that should get you a start.
Yeah. Glenn, everything you just said there is correct because you just obviously listen to the show every single day and you will have heard me say all those things.
That's a private chat.
But, I want to get on to other comments.
Is he blowing smoke up your arse?
No. He's Ben says, any idea how we have money to activate a 50 million release clause for that young lad, or is it typical rumours? We don't have 50 million for any release clause.
And utter BS. He may have a 50 odd million release clause, but go on Transfermarkt and see what he's worth. 5 million euros. So we may very well be interested in him.
Yeah.
But a release clause is only there to stop you buying somebody if the club don't want it to happen, rather than the other way around.
Andy says I'm right. Over holidays in his workplace, we're only allowed 2 people off per day out of a group of 35.
That's a management decision.
I'm just. David Gilbert continues by saying they were both there. He met Dyche and Thelwell too. That's David Gilbert's words. We can only take his words for it. John
Well, I saw the fancy car outside, and it's you know what? Oh man, I feel stupid now.
Why?
Well, because there was someone sat in the passenger seat at the front.
Oh yeah,
but there was no driver in the car. I should have gone and seen if it was Moshiri's minder, shouldn't I?
Moshiri's minder would not have left Moshiri.
Yeah,
not a chance on earth.
That's what I thought. Maybe it was whatever.
Have you ever spoke to Moshiri's minder?
No, I don't think he speaks. He's a robot.
He doesn't speak.
He just looks at you.
He just gives you a look. We bumped into him in Switzerland, and he was just like, we far out getting all the pictures when everyone liked them, and he just went, that's enough now. And then when he said it, no one went, no, hang on, mate. Everyone went, yes, that is enough. Yes, you're absolutely right, sir. Because he looked Mossad, 100% Mossad.
It's Israeli, yeah.
Yeah, 100% Mossad. You're not messing with him.
It doesn't have to be very big.
No.
And then when look at you.
And then when he came to Goodison one year for a pre-season game, and me and Baz were in we were filming on the pitch, funny enough, when they liked us. And then we went into the media room, and he didn't have him for that one day. But instead of having him, he had 6 fellas with him. So instead of this one fella who's only about 5, 7-ish,
yeah.
He had 6 renter
suits
who were all massive. So that just tells you That really does tell you. He was obviously having his day off. He was allowed the day off because there was 6 of them. See, John Bain says, please don't shoot the manager. The messenger.
The messenger.
And I know it could be a load of bollocks. I was in Marmaris last week and I met a Crystal Palace supporter last Friday on a cruise outing. You're getting into real detail here. He reckons Textor shares have been sorted at Palace. As I said, I know it could be bollocks, as I've previously stated.
They might very well, yeah.
But wait and see. But it is interesting that.
You get less leaks down there than you do up here.
Yeah. As I've already mentioned, we can't take calls tonight. Apologies, because Baz has been massively selfish. He's probably just having a coffee with Jamie Carragher right now.
I think he's more closer to Gaz, don't you?
I reckon he finished about 4 and went, lads, if I get back, I've got to do that club call, and I hate club call because you have to put those things in your ears. Can we just sit off for half an hour and have a coffee? And
no, are you trying to get Gaz on inside the game?
Yeah, Gaz is having none of it. Gaz is like, I've got an empire. I'm not coming on your podcast.
He said he has. He will, rather. Yeah. And Carragher's done it, even though he didn't get very good numbers.
Well, Carragher was selfish, though.
Cody blew him away on that.
Carragher was selfish. Carragher did it in a cafe.
Yeah, that's true.
That's selfish. Come in here and do it properly so it looks the business.
Yeah.
That was selfish, that.
I think he said he'll do it again, hasn't he?
Well, that's pointless now, isn't it?
He didn't even do 2 hours, did he?
That's it, because you're in a cafe, you've got people coming in and out, there's noises, you feel the pressure, you can't relax, you come in here, you get a nice cup of coffee, the lights are turned down, and the next minute you're blubbering your eyes out. So, Mark says, do you think Textor was showing the hot walk?
Might have drove past and said, and by the way, that's the hot one.
Yeah.
And this is where it's going to be near the stadium as well, just so you don't have to miss out.
Mrs. Toffee.
Not the.
Imagine her name was Mrs. Toffee. Hello, this is my husband, Dave Toffee. Says we need a done deal.
Dave the Toffee's close
quick.
to that, isn't it?
JB, it says, do we think we should have planned for Jared Brantwaite to go this season? And I'm only saying this because of the money for transfers. With the squad being small and not great, Jared Brantwaite money couldn't get us a new left back or a new right back, 2 fast wingers, and then we need to replace Jared Brantwaite as well.
I think they sat down and decided what they wanted and how to do it, and Brantwaite being sold wasn't on the agenda.
I also think, well, not think, but there's clear evidence. When that deadline passed, the world was a different place. Because
which deadline?
The PSR one.
Oh, sorry, the end of June one.
When that slammed shut, the world was a different place. The Freakins they were there, and Everton probably looking at the rosy side of everything.
No, I just think they decided not to sell him. Regardless.
I think once that deadline passed, he probably thought we'd look absolute bellends if we sold him.
Yeah. That's why the Red Shide stories you just giggle at, because,
made up by people who've got nothing.
One at Redmen said they thought they were going to get their first signing today, and it's not happened yet.
The goalie.
Yeah, and then they sent him straight on loan and said that doesn't count as a signing.
Yeah.
You're paying 40 million quid for a goalie who actually isn't going to show up. So they want a windfall for Alisson, do they, I suppose?
I think they think in a couple of years he's gone, don't they?
Yeah. Well, that's a contract, yeah.
No, Eddie, sorry, no calls today, apologies. Ben says, if Everton are a chocolate bar, what are they?
Don't know enough chocolate bars. Crunchy.
Because they get stuck in your teeth. Because they're nice and we love them.
What is it? The stuff that's sticky.
Glue.
What do you think?
I was thinking like
Kit Kat that's been left out in the sun.
I was thinking like a spider, because they taste.
I don't even know what that is.
It's an old one. They taste really nice, but the texture is like, I don't know. Or it might be a crunchy and get stuck on the back of your teeth, and like you pull a filling out. So even though it's nice to eat, it can leave long lasting problems certainly for your teeth. So
I was thinking along the lines is you love it, but they don't make it easy. It doesn't make you easy rather.
Yeah. Or like you wouldn't know, like the Misfit chocolate. No, you go in the Cadbury shop and it's all like bagged up. You wouldn't eat that, would you?
No.
No. The thing about it is just normal chocolate. It's just
The questioner, what did he think?
he hasn't commented on it. Paz says Fubu TV hold the Premier League rights in Canada.
Well, there you go.
They do, but does he still own them? That's the question. Does he still own?
I shall search the internet.
They went on the stock exchange. He resigned in 2020. He resigned his post as executive chairman. And then it went public. He remained the largest shareholder.
He's still chairman?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, beg pardon. Former executive chairman. It doesn't say, so we'll have to look at them first.
It's got a market value of $6 billion, and he's the shareholder. So that would have got him a few quid, wouldn't it?
US, Canada, and Spain. Where's the ownership on this? Anyway.
Sharpie says, if we don't get more points than last year, does Dyche have to go?
No. I think he'll go anyway.
I think it's more to do with where we end up, isn't it?
Yeah.
More than anything else. I mean, points wise, one year's points doesn't mean the same for the next year's points in terms of where you finish. I mean, we once finished 10th was it, with 59 points?
Yeah.
And another year, 59 points would get you into a very nice place. We once finished on 74 points. It didn't make the Champions League, and that's I think it's like the only year ever that 74 points hasn't got you the Champions League. It's all, you need to stop doing that, John, otherwise you'll have two sore arms.
The gammy one.
So yeah, it at the end of the day, he's just got to keep us well clear, and we were talking about it before. We want a consistent season where we're earning points all the way, rather than no points, loads of points, no points, loads of points. I can't be doing that again. It's too much.
4 points per month.
Yeah, is all you need.
Yeah.
Really. Mark says, someone overheard Textor at Bramley Moore saying he's getting rid of Z cards for born in the USA. Thoughts?
Love it.
I love Born in the USA because loads of Yanks think that it's some dead like song about like being America and all that, and it's not. It's basically going, you're all knobheads. It basically is. It's a blue collar song about people who've got left leanings going, this country, fucking hell. It's the boss. He knows the script. And loads of people are like, yeah, get it, yeah, whatever.
Nice chorus.
Yeah, exactly. Eddie says, if we sell Dominic Calvert-Lewin by the end of the window, will Beto be the guy, or should we expect another striker?
We'd have to bring another striker in. Can't go with Beto and Chimiti, who's still injured.
Yeah.
So. Yeah,
you'd expect another one, wouldn't you, if he was to go?
Yeah.
Because you're right. Beto can't be seen as someone who's going to be our number one striker for an entire season. There has to be someone. But Ocean might have been that person, but it looks like he's going to Ipswich now.
Yeah.
So we'll have to wait and see. On that one. But
left field, and I don't know why this popped into my head.
Go on.
Was Dwight McNeil just holding the ball, or was he going to take the penalty?
That's a good question, that. Because they've done that before, haven't they? Yeah. They've done that before. They did it last season at Luton, where Ashley Young held the ball.
Yeah.
And then I don't know whether it's to give the goalkeeper
some thought.
Or
they're trying to do some negs on him, and it's not him. I never saw where DCL was, because he was obviously the one who was fouled. So you sort of want the penalty taker to wander off, don't you? And then just reappear, put the ball down, bang. Yeah.
Ben says, what Everton goal made you cry? Mine was Baines coming on as a sub against Leicester in the cup and smashing it into the goal.
No Everton goals ever made me cry.
Oh, John, you've never lived.
Yeah. Losing football matches makes you cry.
Probably when, definitely when we scored the final penalty to get through in 2009 in the semi-final. Jags, wasn't it? Who took the last one, I think. Yeah. Jags has probably made me cry.
No, I didn't
And
cry.
maybe Tim Cahill when he scored against Newcastle, which basically got us 4th place.
Heavy emotion. We had one last season.
No,
DCL in the derby.
that didn't make me cry. That just made
None of them made me cry, but
No.
they're big releases of emotion moments, aren't they? And if that's what makes you cry, then
Yeah.
you're there.
Yeah. Interesting. Glenn Watson says John War Dog, the movie, Business Plane. Decent film, that. What is your best fruit flavour for ice cream on a hot day? Options include, but are not limited to, strawberry, raspberry, lemon, mango, coconut, blackcurrant.
Rum and raisin.
There you go. It's not even a fruit, but there you go.
Raisins.
Um,
Like fruit.
The grapes, aren't they?
Are they?
Grapes, raisins, aren't they? Withered grapes. Come on, you're a man of culture. You should know this.
I just know I like the ice cream.
Carl says Everton are like Highland bars because they get stuck in your teeth and they're like.
So he's on the same gig as me.
But that depends on the temperature, because if they're cold, they tend to snap dead easily. But if they're left out a little bit, they go all chewy and gooey and then they get caught in your teeth. So Dan Parker says Smarties. The only the fans have the answer. Agent Ancelotti says nougat bars are boss. Yeah, but are they the same as? It's not chocolate either, is it? Tony says Richarlison looks fed up in his last game. He wants to come home.
Yeah, he got brought on very late, didn't he?
It's like the 92nd minute, wasn't it?
Yeah. That's and manager sticking a stiletto in it. You know, not only did I not start yet and I didn't bring you on, I actually brought you on with 2 minutes to go.
But if he'd won it, it might have been a different story, mightn't it? But Harry wants to know: start, bench, sell. Prime Barkley, prime Delafeu, prime Richarlison.
Prime with us was still less than underfulfilled, really. So Richie to start. Who were the other two again? Sorry.
Delafeu and Barkley.
I'd bench Barkley and sell Delafeu.
Interesting.
What about you?
Yeah, I think Richarlison done more than the other two. Yeah, I think Barkley probably just over Delafeu. A fit Delafeu, whether it was...
He was never fit.
I was going to say, whether he was blown out of his arse or now he just keeps on breaking down with knee injuries. So yeah, it would be, sell Delafeu. Brian Garside says, probably just as well that there are not any calls today, as I may have been barred from the channel. My blood pressure is like a volcano level. The absolute capitulation on Saturday, unable to remember that. I have been so angry and embarrassed by such a performance. They gave up while still having 15 minutes to go. 10 men have beaten 11 before with determination, spirit and attitude. What the manager did or didn't do may be acceptable at other clubs Sean Dyche has managed, but absolutely not at Everton Football Club.
It's history now.
Yeah, but you have to look at those things, don't you, as
But
well?
your blood pressure should have normalised after 4 days. Yeah.
Depends. He lives
Can't change the past.
Lives in Sweden. I think something to do with the altitude. I don't know.
It's not altitude in Sweden.
It's north. There must be less air.
Wally.
You have to go up there.
Is it uphill to Sweden from here?
It is, isn't it? Of course it is. You've got to go north, so that means you've got to go uphill. No, I do. I bring it on Mason Holgate. We said it when we were at Coventry, didn't we?
Yeah.
We were at Coventry and we were 3-0 down, and this kid's warming up, and he's like, we're saying he ain't going to bring them on because he doesn't want to be embarrassed. He'd rather leave with 3-0 and not give any of those kids a chance than it possibly going 5-0 and given opportunities, even though you say it's about fitness. So
It's the fans' fault, that.
What, for having standards?
Well, because the club are scared of the fans, aren't they?
Yeah. Well, they
Scared
are.
of upsetting us, which is a laudable thing, but not to the point where... I mean, I can't think why a manager wouldn't... Well, sorry, we're going to go around the block again now, say why Dixon didn't get some minutes against Roma, aren't we? Because he's not an option. But maybe the manager just considers him so far off, it's not even a consideration.
But the same happened on Saturday, didn't it? Mason Holgate comes on to shore the defence up when you're, what were we, 2-0 down, and then it goes to 3-0. And that's the only reason he came on. I mean, the manager might go, well, no, actually it's not, because I brought him on to shore the team up so that we'd be on a good footing to go forward. But most normal people would probably say, with 5 minutes left in the game, why don't you just bring Lindstrom on and go for it? And if Everton concede another goal, they concede it. I mean, we conceded a goal anyway.
Yeah.
So why aren't you going for it? And that's the bravery. That's the belief. That is the bravery you talk about. You know, I had a conversation last week with a Spurs fan on that podcast we talked about before. And we were saying about their manager is trying to create a culture where what happened against Manchester City never happens again, where it's like, well, we need to lose this game. And we were obviously talking about the pros and cons of that. And of course, you come into a club with all that history against a rival. Of course, Arsenal would have won the league that night practically if Tottenham had got an equaliser. So you have to change it. You have to understand what culture you're changing. But Postecoglou on Saturday, if been 2-0 down and gone to 10 men, probably would have brought 2 centre forwards on, because he's got 2 centre forwards for the start, and just said, sod it, we're going for it, because that's what he believes is the right way to win games of football. We've got a manager who's defensive, so therefore let's
not concede anymore.
It becomes more defensive. There's no idea of, oh, we could get something out of this. It's, let's make sure we don't concede again. But surely if the point of the game is to win, score goals, you've lost the game anyway. Okay, maybe you go, oh yeah, but we didn't want to be embarrassed first day. Didn't want to be embarrassed, but that's a culture. That is a culture thing, isn't it? That's your starting point. And a lot of people will say, but it's that defensive game plan that has got us to where we are, because we don't score goals. But then you could turn that round and go, well, maybe we don't score goals because his mindset is to be defensive. So of course,
they are part of the same thing, aren't they? As soon as you loosen up the team offensively, we will start conceding more goals.
Yeah.
Because more players will get caught upfield in transition, blah, 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 right? But what the man delivers, as we said right at the beginning or whenever, in one of the last shows, is 1.3 whatever, 3 point something points per game, over 600 games.
Doesn't change.
And if he does it again this season, we're mid-table. You know, we'll be critical along the journey, particularly if it's, as you say, feast or famine type of thing, in doing it, because it's not good for the old heart rate, is it? And blood pressure and stuff. And Brian will be exploding every week for a period of time. Yeah. But there has to come a moment when you think, you know, well, actually, just maybe you get 1.5 points per game if you just play slightly differently.
But then he'd probably say, well, but if you get less than 1, then we're in trouble.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
no, that's what I mean.
Yeah, so that's what we've gone for, haven't we?
Pace in your team, you'd be in a better place. So that's then down to recruitment again, which is in turn down to funding. Neither of those things being the manager's fault. So.
Yeah. The Fergie 9 says Beto came up with a late show last night, Ped. Any thoughts on his sale? He could be an unexpected bonus this season as Brozier off to Ipswich. There was another one about Beto there as well. Carl says Beto is looking sharper than last season and he wants to fight for the club, opposite to DCL in my opinion. Is he looking sharper? I think he played last night because he hasn't had much of a pre-season. He's come off the bench in most of the pre-season games. The manager has doubled down on Dominic Calvert-Lewin, which is, again, we're talking about whether it's right or it's wrong. He's made a decision. He's doubled down. Don't know whether that'll backfire on him in the next 7-8 days. Who knows?
Well, next week's going to be fascinating because Kevin Thelwell said, with regards to DCL, we sell him or he signs a new contract. They're the only two options, and there's a week to go. Well, 10 days-ish, whatever it is. You know? Now, if it's neither of those, he's still here and he hasn't signed a new contract, then I think we probably think we've failed in our plan, haven't we? Because he's going to walk out the door for free.
Yeah.
Because if he scores enough goals in the first part of the season, you know, to have suitors in January, we'll just say no, won't we?
Yeah, I don't think you can be selling him in January, but then again, people say, well, if he gets something for him and he hasn't signed a contract, then we've got to get something for him. It has left us in a very, very difficult position which I suppose is of our own making, because really you should get these players signed up with 2 years to go. But again, it
takes 2 though. He might not have wanted one.
No, I know what I'm saying. Then
he was injured.
He was injured, wasn't he? And thought that would stop us selling him if we wanted to sell him. So we've been left with this situation where we've had no real way to go. We've been blocked really. So
I do wonder what version of DCL thinks he's worth what apparently his money is that clubs like Newcastle don't want to pay. I mean, in wages and stuff.
Yeah. But as you said earlier on the show over on Toffee TV Premier, it's if his agents, the agency looking after him,
saying, well, we know what other players are getting and you're comparable to them.
And as we said before, Eddie Nketiah is getting linked with a move to Forest for £30 million. Go and look at how many goals he scored. I think it was 5 last season.
Less than Dom.
His goal scoring return isn't great. Now, people will go, yeah, but that's because he plays for Arsenal and he doesn't get many opportunities. But I bet when he does get opportunities, he gets a lot more chances than Dom does.
And there'll be better quality.
So it balances out,
don't know how many minutes he's played, because you can't go by appearances, can you? Richie got an appearance, didn't he, at the weekend? What was it, 5 minutes or something? Yeah.
And there are now. So you've got your top line, not even your top line play, your mid, so your Solankis of the world, 15 to 20 goals, 60 million quid. Same as what the ballpark we got for Richarlison.
Yeah.
Players who are expected to score 10 goals in the Premier League as a striker are going for £30 million. And with £30 million comes the wages that are the equivalency of that. And that's the problem, isn't it? And I've sort of tried to have this conversation with a lot of people about Dominic Calvert-Lewin and how many goals he scores, and people just say, he's rubbish. And it's like, go and compare him to his peers. There's top-level strikers, there's mid-level strikers, and then there's people who scratch around and get 2 or 3 goals a season. Dom is in that. He's in that the run below Solanke at the moment, and those players are worth 30 million. I didn't set the bar. I didn't set the fees. The fees are, as I said, we bought Beto for £30 million.
Mad.
Do you know what I mean?
If that's what it is, that's mad.
So it's crazy.
Just a bit of debunking for you.
Go on.
These are the league goals for Solanke when he's played at least 10 games in the Premier League.
Yeah.
Season 1, 1 goal.
Yeah.
Okay. Season 2, none. Season 3, 3. Season 4, 6. Season 5, 19.
Yeah.
Right? Now, they've paid 60 million quid for a guy who's going to score 15 to 20 league goals this season in a better team. Or that was the outlier season, which he'll never repeat. And we'll find out at the end.
And his numbers there, right, are, if you flip them round, are a Dominic, aren't as good as Dominic Calvert-Lewin.
That's right, yeah.
Both of them have got one thing in common. They had one outstanding season.
Yeah.
The difference is Solanke's been bought off that outstanding season.
Well, had we tried to sell DCL when he just scored 15?
Well, the difference with Dom is Dom got injured off the back of his
so unlucky.
And that's the difference, isn't it? And
totally.
And has suffered since. And I'm not trying to change anyone's opinion of Dominic Calvert-Lewin, by the way. I'm just saying there's top strikers out there, or top goal scorers. You've got your Haalands, your Salahs, your Isaac might fall into that, or maybe just a little bit below. But look at Arsenal don't have a player. They have Havertz. They have Saka who scored double figures for them. They'll have 2 or 3 who scored double figures for them. But they don't have that one brilliant player. Football has changed so much now that there's very few teams. Players are relying on wide men to get them those kind of goals now, or
a number of players who, Arsenal had quite a number of players with double figures.
Yeah,
they know outstanding one,
and that's down to
but that's better.
That's down to the way you play, isn't it?
Yeah.
You get multiple chances, and they fall to multiple people. Yeah, it's just the way that. But we'll see. The next, as I said, the next.
Dom's best season, which was that 16-goal season, is almost identical in goals per game as Solanke's, except his was last season. At a time when somebody needed a striker because they've lost Harry Kane and missed him, so to speak. Blah blah.
And the funny thing is,
presumably got. Well, I don't know. Whether Tony would have been better value.
The funny thing about Dom is I don't even think we play to Dom's strength because we don't get crosses into the box. The crosses on Saturday were embarrassing. Half of them went over the bar.
Yeah. Oh,
they're just embarrassing. And we don't even try and cross because the two wide men now are too busy trying to cut in all the time and the fullbacks don't go past them. All what happened on Saturday was diagonal balls from one side to the other side. Dom was getting half of them. That means Dom's out the box, and by the time he gets back into the box, we've already given it away. And that was the story of Saturday. So that's got to improve.
We win the offside though, don't we?
The thing I couldn't figure out about Saturday was we were practically playing two up front, and if we're going to do that, then just play a striker up front.
Yeah,
but that's not how football is anymore. So it's
statistically we score more goals when Decore's in the team.
Yeah. And the manager,
particularly away,
and we've never won a game without him in the Premier League. So, Paul Callow says, with anything resolved about the VAR not working, and if there was a screen on the floor under the main monitor. So, obviously, this.
Did they do a mic'd up thing?
They did a thing. I don't know. So the talk is, and I can't say either one way or another, is that there's a screen in a box that is next to the main screen, and when they open it, you can't see that screen. So anyone looking at that screen would not have been able to see it. The one on the other side, the one on the floor. Yeah. So therefore, they're saying he looked at that screen.
It's like a laptop type.
So
screen.
It's a dead. Now my thing would be, number one, that screen, if it's the same one I saw, is tiny, absolutely tiny.
Why didn't he squat down or something?
So I think it was a penalty, and I will think, and I'll tell you why I think it was a penalty.
I thought it was a penalty.
If he had not give it in the first instance, I would have gone, all right, maybe. But once he give it, and someone had to change his mind, there wasn't enough evidence for me. But the reason I think it was a penalty was, if Dominic Calvert-Lewin had stood on that player's foot and fell over, then it's not a player. It's not a penalty. But the fact that he was going in that direction towards Dom and where Dom was putting his foot down meant that he essentially tackled Dom's foot, not the other way round. And that to me is why I think it was a penalty. He brought Dom down because his momentum took Dom's foot out. Now, people might have a different interpretation, no problem with that. But I don't think there's enough evidence to say, well, Dom stood on him. I mean, they're saying Dom fouled him. It's like, how? He slid in. He was out of control.
When rugby league do this, who have far superior, like cricket really, far superior VAR, the referee, right, goes, try. Yeah? He goes like this.
Yeah.
And you hear it all, so that's a good point anyway. And he'll say to his VAR colleague, right, I've given a try. Have you got an angle that shows the ball was not grounded?
Yeah.
Right? Not, can you find one that says it was?
Yeah.
Find one where it says it wasn't. No, we can't find one where it's a try then.
Yeah.
So that VAR there should have been finding a reason for it not to be a penalty, not find something alternative. In other words, no contact.
Yeah.
Well, clearly can't be a penalty if there's no contact. But I thought in the ground, when we were waiting and all that, because he took ages to look at it, didn't he? I thought, well, if there's no contact, then you don't even go to the screen because you believe VAR and they say there's no contact. It's a factual decision, isn't it? So I thought it was a penalty. I
just can't get over the fact that a referee is 5 yards away from an instance and sees it clearly and gives a penalty and then says it's not a penalty because someone said it to him in his ear. I don't know how you can change your mind. Your brain doesn't, if there's someone blocking your stuff, I just don't get that. And for me, as I said, if Dom had just stood on his foot, I get that. But he didn't stand on his foot.
What did Telly say? I don't know.
That's
Match of
the Day said they were like, oh, common sense. But the problem with Match of the Day is
common sense to turn it over.
Yeah. But the problem with Match of the Day is
Murphy or someone.
No, I was going to say the problem with Match of the Day is on these things is that Shearer, and I like Shearer and I like Lineker. And I think it was Joe Hart as well who was just going to toe the line.
Talks about goalies more than
they are players who played 30 years ago, and what a foul to them is different. So I watched Ref Watch on Monday, and Damon Gallagher was like, no, not a pen. And Sue Smith and Yo, who's played for Liverpool, they were like, that's a pen. They were like, it's a pen. And Sue Smith said, even I can take my Everton hat off, and I still think that's a pen. Both of them said the player's momentum was coming in from the side.
I think he clipped him.
And he catches Dom. Dom puts his foot down.
After that,
if he hadn't slid, Dom puts his foot down on the ground. But because he slid in and it's out of control.
Might be a literal, just a touch.
Because he's out of control, because he's sliding. He's took Dom out, and both of them said it was a penalty.
Yeah.
So
my take on it was, you couldn't prove, okay, I'm doing it on my phone or whatever, on an iPad, whatever. You know, you couldn't prove that he didn't touch Dom. And then Dom steps on him after that, which is your point, which is what Dunker's done has caused Dom to put his foot down in a different
cause
place.
and effect.
Yeah.
And that's all what it ever is when it comes to a penalty. It's cause and effect.
So where's the bar then?
No idea. It's cause and effect. And that's all it ever is on any foul or anything. How did you do something that caused him to fall over? If the answer is yes, then it's a foul. You know, and that's the top and bottom of it for me. If Dom puts his foot and then jumps up in the air, then Dom's caused the contact. He didn't cause the contact. Their player caused the contact, and that's to me why it's a penalty.
So here's the thing for you, right? Based on the rugby league thing, instead of them getting called over to VAR, why don't they just talk and say, I've given a penalty unless you tell me there was no contact.
Yeah.
Right? And then they've got a very explicit thing to check. Oh, yeah, there was contact, but I'm not interested in the penalty.
Yeah. My eyes have give a penalty. I've seen that penalty. What are you telling me that's different from what I'm seeing?
And we all know, don't we, that if that thing with Michael Owen was there and Howard Webb was on it, he'd give a reason why that was overturned and not a penalty. Had it been gone to VAR and he's gone over and had a look, said, nah, I'm sticking with my decision, did he give a reason why it was?
Yeah.
Because it's purely subjective.
I just, sometimes, it's like the one where a player goes to kick the ball and then almost like, and then the player walks into the area where he's going to kick and then gets a boot up the arse and it's like penalty. And it's like, well, it's not, is it?
We've suffered that.
Yeah.
But if Dom stands on someone, that stops it being a penalty.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Ziggy on the super chat, thank you very much, says, what is the general consensus on Mexican league players? I think we could get solid players from there for a decent price. Why haven't we looked into it? Can't recall any Mexican players playing for us.
There aren't many Mexican players in the Premier League, full stop. Maybe that's the answer to the question.
There haven't been, have there? There have been a handful.
Yeah.
And obviously Chicharito would be the best example.
Yeah.
Mexican players, without generalising, I think only really, to the most point, adapt to Spanish-speaking countries by the looks of it. And there's been a few in Spain, and there just doesn't right now. I mean, I couldn't tell you too many Mexican players where you go.
I don't know any.
Where you go, oh my God, there was who went from Ajax to Napoli. We were linked with, was it Lozano? We were linked with him. I think he's gone to MLS now.
Is he?
But I can't really. Mexican. I don't think Mexico's got a very good team, and they certainly haven't got a very good league because they're always getting done over by MLS clubs.
Oh, in
like
Champions League equivalent.
Yeah. So I just don't think there's a high standard of player there anymore. Or even if there was one, Jimenez.
All the good ones go overseas.
Yeah, Jimenez is all right, yeah. But I just don't think there's a high standard of them. So I'm sure Everton will have
scouts,
scouts, scouts or
in country, someone who can highlight to them.
And if not like someone who'll sit in Mexico and watch them,
no.
But they'll have like a North America scout, and if they get wind of a player, then obviously they'll send a player there. But there just aren't any, and Jimenez is the only one I can think of right now in this country and he's obviously got a really good build. I don't think a lot of Mexican players are built like that.
Tends to be skillful players.
Yeah, a little bit smaller, a little bit faster, but I couldn't tell you one right now where I'd go, oh yeah, everyone's raving about him. So it's not somewhere. I think you need to have like a league where it's got a decent. Every now and again you'll get a league, won't you, where they'll go, great track record. Oh God, there's a generational thing. I remember in the 90s it was Norway.
Yeah.
And everyone was looking to Norway or Sweden.
Recent times, Portugal's produced lots of players.
Portugal just produces them left, right and centre, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But I think, and then for America obviously was producing Premier League type players in the early 2000s, and obviously we benefited from that.
Quite a number of goalies out of that as well.
And that's dried up a little bit now. Now they're more technical and are coming over here when they're young, coming over to Europe when they're young. But I don't know. It's now it's more like Austria and Belgium, and I think that the Austrian ones have been reflected in how well they did in the Euros, because they're creating players and giving them a good pipeline, and obviously the Red Bull thing has helped that. So there's just not loads. So Ziggy, interesting. Thank you for the super chat, mate. Very interesting comment. Yeah. Right, let's have a little wrap up, and then we're gonna. Baz is clearly not coming now. He's ruined it for everyone.
I told you he was.
He's ruined it for everyone. Here's an interesting one. Watford have agreed a deal with Bournemouth to take striker Daniel Jebison on a season-long loan. We got linked with him so often, and now he's going to Watford on loan. Incredible. Scored against us as well. There we go. Just do a little refresh. Eddie says, looking at free agents, anyone you would take? No, there's no the free agents market's just not a decent. It's just generally crap. By the time you get to this stage, although we are getting a goalkeeper, so less said the better about
He's been
that.
here before.
Yeah, he knows the city. He knows where all the best places are to take horses.
Can he speak Spanish?
No, I don't think he can. Can speak Canadian, which is helpful in Liverpool. Right, there you go. We will be back tomorrow at 1:00. Baz shall be here, unless, I don't know, him and Jill Scott are going for a coffee or something. who knows? Do you know what I mean? Who knows?
Yeah.
Right. We'll see you then. See you later.
Take care, everyone.